Claude Debussy and the French language in musical action. Modern French is a Romance language, that is, a language descended from the Roman language, meaning Latin. Other Latin-derived Romance languages include Italian, Spanish, Portuguese, Catalan, and Romanian. For our information, French is the official language of 29 countries. It replaced Latin as the official language of international diplomacy back in the 1600s, only to be replaced by English in the 1950s, a reflection of the global dominance of the United States after World War II. According to Bloomberg Business Week, French is the third most important language for international business, after English and Mandarin Chinese. Certain of the modern Romance languages have much in common. For example, we hear all the time that for people who speak Spanish, Italian is fairly accessible, and vice versa. Having said that, I would tell you that while I speak passable Italian, French, despite my having studied it in middle school, high school, and on and off as an adult, French continues to defy my best efforts in pronunciation. Oh, it's a terrible flaw on my part, of which I am ashamed, especially given my reverence for things French. My personal difficulties with French stem from its long, leisurely diphthongs, meaning its vowel combinations, and its softly articulated consonants. The fluidity and blurred edges of the French language give it a subtlety, a color, a nuance that defies my stiff brain and squared-off tongue. Just as so-called French Impressionist art celebrated subtlety of color, blurred edges, open composition, shifting light, and a sense of visual fluidity, just as such symbolist French poets as Stéphane Mallarmé, 1842 to 1898, Paul Verlaine, 1844 to 1896, and Arthur Rimbaud, 1854 to 1891, wrote poetry that exploited the fluidity and subtlety of the French language and employed metaphor and symbolic imagery to evoke rather than describe the state of the poet's soul. In just these ways and many more, Claude Debussy's quintessentially French music is the French language in musical action. For Debussy, the sensual quality of sound for its own sake was as important a musical element as melody, harmony, and rhythm. He cultivated a music of long diphthongs, blurred edges, and amazing fluidity, in which ideas ebb and flow without the sort of clarity of articulation and musical form characteristic of German music. For all of its sensual prettiness, and Debussy did indeed compose some of the most gorgeous music ever written, Debussy's music is among the most revolutionary and influential ever composed. At a time when young composers like Igor Stravinsky and Bela Bartok were casting about for new musical models that were as relevant to the 20th century as the aeroplane, it was Debussy's music and the new syntax that Debussy created that became their essential inspiration.